I know a lot of guys say this, but that's never happened before. This is the first time. No, I was in the middle of talking about the press secretary, and all three of the screens went black, and then about a half a second later, I looked up and realized that studio light were both out, and the red lights in the bedroom were out, and I mean, yeah, everything was out and dead. And luckily enough, I didn't have to go back and reset up scenes. That was what I was most worried about as soon as I realized that this was a power outage that had just happened briefly. And it didn't even last for a minute and a half. It was about 90 seconds of power outage, which is telling me they probably disconnected and reconnected something at the local transformer. I'll see if I can figure out what happened. But yeah, everything went dead in a second. The music was out. I heard the wireless headphones say disconnected. All the plant lights were out, so yeah. And it looks like I have to go back and reset the timer on the one because now that's out completely. So I'll have to do that after the show. We'll see what happens with that. But hey, we're back! Join us now for the exciting conclusion of Contemporary. Where were we? Alright, we were at the Daily Wire. We were going to be talking about the press secretary. The new one, by the way. This will be our first go-around with a new one. And we've got video. And Peter Doocy, too, by the way. So, actually dial this back just a little bit more. So now we get to see how Peter Doocy fights with the new press secretary. Hooray! The Gilded isn't working either, by the way. So we'll have to go get that shut down and do that. But we'll do that while we're off air instead of doing on-air production. Let's get back into it. All right. He's visited many communities. White House press secretary excuses Biden visiting Buffalo but not Waukesha. From Hank Berrien. White House press secretary token... I don't know if I can get away with saying that on YouTube every time. Jeanpierre. We'll test the waters on that one just a little bit. Gave a lame, weak answer when she was asked why President Biden will visit Buffalo after the killings of 10 people over the weekend by an alleged white supremacist, but had not ever visited Waukesha, Wisconsin, after the alleged killing of 6 people by a black motorist. Let's listen.
And then just one on the trip tomorrow. How come the president is visiting Buffalo after a senseless tragedy there, but he couldn't visit Waukesha after 6 were killed and 61 injured in an attack on a Christmas parade there?
I mean, he's visited many communities. Buffalo, he's able to go tomorrow to Buffalo before the trip. That is something that was important for him to do. But he has visited many other communities. Buffalo's not the first community, sadly, that he has to go up to because of a violent attack. So, that's not the first one. So he's been to many others.
He's been to many of them. Just don't worry. We've had many of them that fit the narrative, too. After the Waukesha attack, former White House press secretary, red-haired bobblehead, said Biden had no plans to visit Waukesha, arguing that any president going to visit a community requires a lot of assets and it requires taking their resources, Newsweek noted. The 39-year-old black male who allegedly killed 6 people and injured dozens more at a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin last November 21st by driving an SUV into the crowd reportedly kept driving with his head out of the window after a body on the windshield blocked his view. 71 new counts were filed against the attacker, who was named in accordance with the Daily Wire policy on not publishing names and photographs of alleged mass murderers in mid-January, according to an amended criminal complaint CBS affiliate WDJT examined. CBS affiliate W. Donald J. Trump. He faced a total of 77 charges in the incident that left 6 people dead and dozens more injured. The medical examiner found that the 5 victims died of multiple blunt force injuries, and the 6th, a child, died of craniocerebral injuries from a blunt force trauma to the head The complaint said, CBS News reported, adding, more than 60 people were injured, including at least 18 children, authorities said. According to the complaint, the attacker hit people from 8 different groups participating in the parade, as well as spectators in a 5-block span. So, and of course the Daily Wire is going to run with that one because they want to make sure that white man bad, according to the mainstream media. But that's what we have coming off of that. Let's grab one from WIVB 4. Oh, that's interesting. So Biden's going to be there, and he's supposedly going to be able to lift right back off and leave almost immediately. But according to the weather up here, there's a chance of downpour or thunderstorm east of Buffalo into early afternoon, which is going to put a nice big damper on his ability to go back and lift off like that. Buffalo attack calls for national response. In gun control, Kathy Hochul says, well, respectively, Kathy, no. New York Governor Kathy Hochul called on lawmakers to pass stronger gun control laws after a mass shooter killed 10 people on Saturday in a racially targeted attack at a Buffalo supermarket. I want our place in history to be the place of the least mass shootings in this country, Hochul said. Well, stop with the psychotropic drugs for people who don't need to have psychotropic drugs. That'll be a nice, good start. And working together, we will achieve that. Hochul said tragedy in her hometown calls for a national response. I will continue to call on Washington to do just the basic things that we've done here in New York. I also call on the Supreme Court, which is actually considering rolling back some of the protections that were here in place to protect the New York citizens from gun violence, Hochul said. Her sentiments were echoed by Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown, a fellow Democrat, during an appearance on Sunday's Meet the Depressed. We've seen many of these mass shootings around the country, year in and year out, month in and month out, and it's always the same refrain, Brown said, people sending their thoughts and their prayers. Lawmakers in Washington say there's something that must be done, and there are some on one side of the aisle that block anything from being done. It seems like they are those that believe that owning a gun is more precious than the sanctity of human life. No, as I said the first time we talked about this bullshit, I believe they go hand in hand. There's a sanctity of human life, yes, but I use owning a gun to protect my sanctity of human life. And if you plan to end on ending my sanctity of human life, then yours will probably be the one that ends instead. So just take that with a grain of salt. So I think the people across the country will have to rise up. Brown, a fifth-term mayor, continued. They have to speak more loudly and more clearly that there must be gun control in this country. This is a uniquely American phenomenon. Yeah, you talk about hearing the same refrain over and over again. I hear the same refrain over and over again. It's a uniquely American phenomenon. This only happens here. If only we had one more law. Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia said the 18-year-old used an AR-15 style rifle. He did not use an AR-15 rifle. He used a Bushmaster rifle during the attack and had other guns in his car. The gunman's alleged manifesto said the AR-15 was selected because of how deadly it can be, adding, after some modifications, it will be able to effectively kill. Except he didn't use an AR-15. He used a Bushmaster. He didn't use an Armalite. What was used was not purchased legally in the state of New York, Hochul said. The basic gun was, but the high-capacity magazine associated with it had to come from another state because it's illegal in the state of New York. We need a smart national policy, and let's start with something that's what I would say is a no-brainer category after Sandy Hook. Shame on this county. Shame on Congress at the same time for not passing something as basic as a background check. We have a background check. The fuckstick passed the background check. So I'm ready to recharge that conversation, she said. And again, we talked about the same old. Well, it's the same old refrain. Well, here's your same old refrain. hey, a gun incident where we failed to stop with all the laws that we have will be stopped with just one more law. Just give us one more law. Yes, it's a challenging time politically, but that doesn't mean we should stand down and let the criminals win. Well, what do you think is going to happen when you disarm more people? Dumb cunt. I think this is going to be a lot of the same refrain, but we do have another clip from Jeanpierre, but according to this is hopeful at the center of the gun control debate. I don't know if this is going to play or not. I don't remember. I think political videos don't play normally.
I want to take a moment to recognize the lives lost and forever changed in Buffalo. Former Buffalo Police Lieutenant Aaron Salter, 55, is a hero, a security guard who engaged the suspect to save lives and was killed in the process. Ruth Whitfield, 86, was mother of Buffalo's retired fire commissioner, Garnell W. Whitfield. Ruth was the rock of the family, devoting her life to taking care of her 4 children and husband. Ruth was visiting the former commissioner's father in a nursing home as she did each day, and she stopped at the supermarket to buy some groceries. Catherine Massey, 72, was a well-known community figure who wrote for her local newspapers, assisted in elections, and dressed up in costume as Mr. Broccoli to teach local school children to eat right. Pearl Young, 77, was a substitute teacher and a true pillar in the community who volunteered at a church food pantry every Saturday. Hayward Patterson, 68, a driver and church volunteer. Hayward worked as a driver who gave rides to residents to and from the grocery store and would help with their groceries when he was killed. Celestine Cheney, 65, a grandmother to 6. Celestine had been visiting her sister, and they went to the supermarket because she wanted to get strawberries to make shortcakes, which she loved. Celestine prized her role as a grandmother, survived cancer, and was a regular churchgoer. Robert Drury, 32, a resident of the Syracuse area. She was at the supermarket to get food for dinner while in town visiting her brother. She always was the center of attention and made whole rooms smile and laugh, her sister said.
So, I don't want to be completely tinfoily about this, but I hate to bring this back up, but doesn't it seem a little bit convenient that the day after this happened is when the new press secretary starts? I don't know, I just noticed that now. Like, Jeanpierre, historic first black press secretary, is now going to be the one commenting on the first the major black shooting that we've had, I think, this presidential term, isn't it? It's the first or the second, I don't know. There haven't been many. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, Liz Cheney's back in the news. Aren't you guys excited to hear what Liz Cheney has to say about this whole thing? Hey, look, Hawaiian shirts. I'm totally not looking at those. Liz Cheney, reps House GOP leaders, claims that they enabled white supremacists. From Callie Pattison. Yeah, I think Cheney is in full-on don't give a fuck mode and wants to tell the Republicans that don't agree with her about bombing brown kids exactly what she thinks about them. Representative Cheney toured to her fellow House Republicans Monday, accusing party leadership of having enabled white nationalism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. Liz, you've got to be really careful with that. Because you come from a family that's obsessed with bombing brown kids. History has taught us that what begins with words ends with far worse, Cheney tweeted less than 48 hours after Saturday's racially motivated massacre at a Buffalo supermarket. GOP leaders must renounce and reject these views and those who hold them. Cheney did not call out specific members of Congress in the message, but which she posted from her personal Twitter rather than her congressional page. However, 2 Republican lawmakers, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar, have caused the outcry over their association with white nationalist groups. In February of this year, Greene delivered a keynote address at a conference that was hosted by Fuentes and was held opposite the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando, Florida. Greene later claimed that she had not been aware of Fuentes' views, which include Holocaust denial and defenses of segregation. Similarly, Gosar attended Fuentes' American First PAC last year and was later censured by the House and stripped of his committee assignments after he posted a video depicting himself as an anime character assassinating far-left Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch, and attacking President Brandon. Cheney's post came almost exactly a year after she was ousted from her role as Republican conference chair in favor of Elise Stefanik, following Cheney's repeated criticism of former President Trump and his role in last year's Capitol Selfie Fest. Well, she is just another worthless neocon who's on her way out. Goodbye! Wait, how's this go? From the Dissociated Press. Looking at the other big one, authorities hate against Taiwanese led to church attack. From Amy Taxon, Ken Ritter, and Deepa Bharat. A gunman, motivated by political hatred against Taiwan, chained shut the doors of a California church and hit firebombs inside before shooting at a gathering of mostly elderly Taiwanese parishioners, killing a man who tackled him and possibly saved dozens of lives, authorities said on Monday. David Chow of Las Vegas, a U.S. citizen who authorities say grew up in Taiwan, drove to Orange County on Saturday. The next day, he attended lunch held by Irvine Taiwanese Presbyterian Church, which worships at the Geneva Presbyterian Church in the community of Laguna Woods. Though he knew no one there, he spent about an hour mingling with about 40 attendees, then executed his plot, authorities said at a news conference. Authorities said Chow chained the doors and put superglue in the keyholes. He had 2 9mm handguns, legally purchased years ago in Las Vegas, and 3 bags containing among other things, 4 Molotov cocktail-type incendiary devices and extra ammo. He opened fire, and in the ensuing chaos, Dr. John Cheng, 52, tackled him, allowing other parishioners to subdue him, tie him up with extension cords. Cheng died, and 5 other people were wounded. The oldest, 92, Sheriff Don Barnes, called Cheng's heroism a meeting of good versus evil that probably saved the lives of upwards of dozens of people. Chow, who worked for years as a security guard, was booked on suspicion of murder and attempted murder and jailed on $1 million bail. He was expected to appear in state court on Tuesday. It was not immediately clear whether he had an attorney who could speak on his behalf. A federal hate crimes investigation is also ongoing, but it's not going to go anywhere because Chow was not white. Swalwell got into this one here. Democrat Eric Swalwell gets slapped down for trying to pin church shooting on Republicans. From Carlos Garcia. Eric Swalwell of California was hit with a backlash of ridicule after he tried to blame Republicans for a horrific shooting at a church in California. Police were investigating the Geneva Presbyterian Church in Laguna Woods on Sunday when Swalwell assumed the attacker's motivation to be something related to the Republican Party. Sorry, House GOP, that parishioners hogtied your boy, tweeted Swalwell, adding a hashtag for sorry not sorry in a link to the story documenting how parishioners hogtied the suspect. On Monday, police say they believe the suspect had attacked the church out of his animosity for the Taiwanese people and called it a politically motivated hate incident. They identified the assailant as David Chow. Chow is an immigrant from China and lived in multiple places in the U.S. before he ended up in Las Vegas. His bail was set at $1 million. Critics of Swalwell rushed to excoriate the Democrat for rushing to blame Republicans without any evidence to prove his contention. The shooter was from mainland China, targeting Taiwanese American Christians. Sounds like he may have been your boy, Congressman, read one popular response. Do you think he was related to Bang Bang with Fang Fang? I'm beginning to think that you're just an all-around horrible human being who needs to reevaluate your entire life, responded commentator Justin Haskins. A representative is openly celebrating the death of an innocent person, read another tweet, miserable POS. You're an awful human being, read another response. This guy may be the dumbest member of Congress, but it's likely. Said he may not be the dumbest member of Congress, but it's likely, replied another detractor. Others made jokes referencing Swalwell's previous relationship with a woman who was later revealed to be a Chinese spy. One man was killed and 4 others were wounded in the attack on Sunday. Police praised former Pastor Billy Chang as a hero for fighting back against the attacker and likely preventing more casualties. Yes, good on that man. Absolutely good on that man. And also, Eric Swalwell, Bang Bang with Fang Fang. Let's talk about my former hometown. From the Dissociated Press, Blake drops civil rights lawsuit against Wisconsin officer. Jacob Blake has dropped his federal civil rights lawsuit against the Wisconsin police officer who shot him during a domestic disturbance and left him paralyzed from the waist down. Neither attorneys for Blake, whose August 2020 shooting sparked the protests in which Rittenhouse fatally shot 2 men and wounded a third, nor Kenosha officer Rustin Chesky indicated in their court filings why the lawsuit was being dropped, including whether a settlement had been reached. The man who answered the phone at the office of Blake's attorney, Patrick Salby II, hung up when asked about the decision to drop the lawsuit, and Chesky's attorney, Kenneth Battle, had no immediate comment. And of course, they do have to clear something up for us here. Chesky, who is white, shot Blake, who is black. Hey, does anybody know the races of the 2 men involved in this? I think the Associated Press forgot to tell us about that. After Blake resisted arrest during disturbance and appeared to turn toward Chesky with a knife. Blake was wanted on a felony sexual assault warrant at the time. Prosecutors cleared Chesky of any criminal wrongdoing and later dropped the sexual assault charges against Blake as part of a plea deal. Blake filed a civil rights lawsuit in March of 2021 alleging that Chesky had used excessive force on him. Court records indicate that attorneys for the 2 men filed notice on Friday that they had agreed to dismiss the case with prejudice, which means that Blake can't refile it. U.S. District Judge J.P. Stadtmuller ordered the case be dismissed on Monday. So, no words as to why. I could probably do some digging around town and figure out why, but yes, officially that one is over. From the Daily Mail, we have another Veritas video. Selectively edited. Twitter does not believe in free speech. Undercover Project Veritas recording reveals Twitter engineer saying, platform censors the right, but not the left. Everyone who works there is commie as fuck, and they hate Elon Musk. Excuse me? Not the article we want. From Harriet Alexander for DailyMail.com. A senior engineer at Twitter has admitted the social media giant has a strong left-wing bias, and they routinely censor conservatives. Saru Murugesan was recorded saying the company culture is extremely far left, where workers are commie as fuck, and they hate Elon Musk's $44 billion takeover. In a shockingly frank conversation filmed over several encounters, he said the firm does not believe in free speech, and even started to turn him left-wing when he joined. His comments came amid a firestorm on Twitter as staff fear that they will face the axe or be stopped from censoring certain content when the Tesla billionaire takes over. Musk has vowed to return the platform to a safe space for users and post what they want, as well as defeat the spam bots and authenticate all humans. Meanwhile, he fueled speculation he could be seeking to negotiate paying less for the social media giant, as he told a Miami conference an agreement at a lower price wouldn't be out of the question. So let's actually listen to what happened here.
Do you think there's a difference between Twitter's definition of free speech and Elon's definition of free speech?
Twitter does not believe in free speech.
What do you
Elon
mean?
believes in free speech.
How does Twitter not believe in free speech?
Because Twitter wants to censor bullying and harassment. And the idea of free speech is that you can bully and harass people. And Twitter does not believe in this value. That's a problem because it's not conducive to a business. If you want to run a business, like even Facebook or Instagram, they don't want people bullying and harassing, or even YouTube. They straight up, any toxic behavior, they're like, nope, we can't have it.
For example, like if you bully a transgender, if the right thinks it's okay, the left does not. Ideologically, it does not make sense, like because we're actually censoring the right, not the left. Because everyone on the right wing will be like, bro, it's okay to say, you just gotta tolerate it. The left will be like, no, I'm not gonna tolerate it. I need it censored, or else I'm not gonna be intolerant. So it does double right. It's true. There is a bias. But it is what it is today.
They hate it. Oh my God, at least like okay with it. But some of my colleagues are like super left. And of course, they're going to come back out here and say selectively edited this, that, and the next thing, which I'd like to actually sit down and watch the full interview with this. But one thing that I do have to note, and I will admit that this is not my original thought off of this. I saw this earlier this morning before we got started and realized that this was really funny and something to pay attention to. If you are an Indian dude that works at Twitter and some hot girl wants to take you out on a date, it's probably Project Veritas at this point. Just saying. From the Daily Wire, top Biden official claims that Biden knew about the formula shortage last year. From Tim Meads, President Biden claimed on May 13th that his admin could have been better prepared for the national baby formula shortages if they'd been better mind readers. On Monday, his top official at the Department of Health and Human Services appeared to contradict that statement, claiming that his department and the FDA had known about the issue since last year. CNN asked HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra if he was satisfied with the government's response to the issue. The HHS chief affirmed that his admin was moving with urgency and has been since last year. Let's watch.
Absolutely
so you are satisfied with the government's response throughout this?
I'm sorry, say again?
You're satisfied with the government's response throughout this?
From everything I've known, and FDA has kept me apprised of this from last year. We have been moving as quickly as we can.
Oh. Becerra made it sound as though the Biden admin knew this was going to be a problem longer than the president had recently implied. Well, do keep in mind that the dementia has made it so that the president himself doesn't know what happened 5 minutes ago, but can tell you what happened in 1963 with great clarity. On May 13th, the same day Biden lamented his admin's ability to see the future, the president made it sound as if the emergency took them by surprise, as it did parents across the country. I'll answer the baby formula question because all of a sudden it's on the front page of every newspaper, Biden said in response to one reporter asking about the emergency. Combined with his mind reader comment, the president gave the impression the government was taken by surprise by the shortage. Biden's own White House website says that on February 17th, the largest infant formula manufacturer in the country, Abbott Nutrition, initiated a voluntary recall of several lines of powdered formula. The White House claimed the federal government mobilized on the action to get the baby products onto the market as soon as it became aware that it was an issue. Yeah, I think that there is a problem going on here with communication. Everybody knows it. From CBS, Senator Mike Lee proposes a new formula act amid baby formula shortage nationwide. Great. We're going to have a Republican try to nationalize the means of production, too, from Kayla Wynn. Mike Lee is putting the finishing touches on his fixing our regulatory mayhem, upsetting little Americans. The acronyms. I love the acronyms. And how hard, I mean, what kind of focus group do they have to come back out with and figure out how to make these acronyms work the way that they say that it does? Which aims to fight domestic baby formula shortages and strengthen the supply chain to help American parents feed their children. Problems in the baby formula supply chain have caused the out-of-stock rate for formula to quadruple in recent days compared to 6 months ago. Recent shortages follow a recall and temporary closure of a major American formula facility, but they expose structural flaws in the critical supply chain. Families in Utah and across the country are struggling to feed their newborns as a result of the disturbance. Of the bill, Lee said American babies are going hungry and the federal government is standing in the way. Current policies, tariffs, quotas, bans, and regulations are preventing mothers and fathers from being able to make the best choices to feed their babies. My Formula Act will give these families relief during the unprecedented shortage. Congress needs to pass this bill immediately to protect Americans from going hungry. The Formula Act aims to disrupt supply chains by temporarily lifting current protectionist trade barriers such as tariffs and import restrictions, which reduce supply and raise the price of foreign-made formula. The law would also remove restrictions on the importation of safe infant formula from other countries. During the current crisis, this would allow American families to access safe and sufficient formula manufactured in Europe and elsewhere. The bill also allows WIC participants to use coupons to buy formula of any manufacturer instead of being confined to the brand or product specifically mentioned on specific vouchers. It may be unavailable. So, freeing up the trade is always going to be good, but there again, when we lift the tariffs over there, we put our manufacturing at a disadvantage. Well, they're going to keep the tariffs on there to keep us from sending our products over to them. So, I don't know. I would rather free the trade, but not if it's going to go only in one direction. Here's one that I carried over from yesterday, even though I cleared most of all the stuff from yesterday, just because I thought it was interesting to come back out and see what it is that we're actually going through with this. From Washington Examiner presents Restoring America. Wisconsin middle schoolers accused of sexual harassment for using wrong pronouns. And this is actually, Wisconsin Department of Education is going to try to make this a big thing because of this one here. 3 students at a Wisconsin middle school are facing allegations of sexual harassment under Title IX after they repeatedly refused to use they/them pronouns while addressing a fellow student. Attorneys for the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty demanded that the Kiel Area School District stop the Title IX investigation into the 3 male students at Kiel Middle School. The complaint against these boys and the district's ongoing investigation are wholly inappropriate and should be immediately dismissed, the Institute wrote in a letter to administrators. The mere use of biologically correct pronouns not only does not constitute sexual harassment under Title IX or the district's own policy, it's also speech protected by the First Amendment. The attorney's letter accused the school district of stretching Title IX to police student speech and added that the students were themselves subjected to yelling and name-calling for refusing to use the non-biological pronouns, even as admins failed to use the students' preferred pronouns. The use of they/them pronouns in particular is awkward, grammatically incorrect, and until recently unheard of, the letter says, indeed illustrating how difficult it is to refer to a single person as they/them. Our clients have frequently heard the Title IX investigator, teachers, other staff, and students refer to the students in question using she/her pronouns. Now, you say Kiel Middle School. You ask yourself, is this somewhere in the Madison Extended School District that's super progressive? Is this somewhere up in Eau Claire? Is this in the middle of Green Bay? Or just on the edge of it, where it would still fall under the progressivism of that city? Is this somewhere in Milwaukee, by any chance? or on the very outskirts of that. It is none of these things. In fact, Kiel in Wisconsin is a very, very small mapped out community. I mean, this is it right here, right next to a marsh wildlife area. You can see that there are just a few streets here, nothing real major. And you can see all the streets over here. About 3,400 people. Well outside of the major urban areas of Wisconsin, which means that they're trying to go and pull this shit in the midst of rural America. Now, as far as this goes, this really is between the students that are affected, and really none of anybody else's business, to be completely honest. Especially if it was somebody that I'd known for a long time, I would actually probably not even try to associate with that person. And I do have to wonder if that there's some sort of push to make sure that these people have to associate with you because, you know, it's well known that they're Christian, that they have super right-wing parents. I do feel like there's much, much more to this story than we're seeing out of this. But that is what they're doing. That's where they're going with that. From NBC News, talking about some midterm stuff. We might have to skip around because we're getting to this point, and I do have to get off here a little bit earlier than I usually do, and of course the power outage set me a little bit behind the clock. Pennsylvania Senate race is rocked by late twists, from John Fetterman's stroke to Kathy Barnett's meteoric rise. From Sahil Kapoor and Dasha Burns. Voters head to the polls on Tuesday to choose their party nominees in a high-profile Pennsylvania Senate race that had some shocking last-minute twists, from the stroke suffered by Democratic frontrunner John Fetterman to the late surge by far-right Republican Kathy Barnett. I love how that's the first place that they have to go with her. Well, she's far-right. Far-right. Fetterman, 52, announced Sunday that he was resting after a stroke and is well on my way to a full recovery, he added. Our campaign isn't slowing down one bit, and we're still on track to win this primary on Tuesday and flip the Senate seat in November. His rival, Connor Lamb, and State Rep. Malcolm Kenyatta responded quickly to wish him well, while Kenyatta saying that he looked forward to seeing him back on the campaign trail soon. Meanwhile, in the ultra-competitive Republican primary, Barnett has surged into a statistical three-way tie for the lead, with Trump-endorsed television doctor Mehmet Oz. If you're in Pennsylvania, do not vote for Oz. And former hedge fund executive Damon McCormick, according to a recent Fox News poll that found that her support doubling since March, sending waves of panic through the GOP establishment. Good. Fuck the GOP establishment. With Oz and McCormick struggling to convince voters they are the true pro-Trump America First candidates, Barnett has depicted herself as grassroots underdog, facing two multimillionaires with weaker ties to Pennsylvania. Yeah, doesn't Oz live in, like, Jersey or something? Barnett has benefited from the leaked Supreme Court opinion that would overturn Roe v. Wade, seizing the moment to attract social conservatives by highlighting her compelling personal story. Her mother was raped at age 11 and gave birth to Barnett at age 12. An emotional video of Barnett discussing her roots and her stance, outlaw abortion even in the case of rape or incest, is resonating here. Tanya Murgia, who attended a Barnett event, said that she is very pro-life, and after having researched the candidate, she believes Barnett is the one that stands out as really the only viable option for me as a conservative Catholic. Rob Karch said that he went to a Barnett event in Southampton, undecided, and came out ready to vote for her on Tuesday. She's a hometown kind of girl, she's a grassroots kind of girl, and I think that we want to give her a shot, Karch said. Well, I guess we'll have to find out tomorrow because, well, they'll have to spend 17 weeks counting all the mail-in ballots to make sure that the true pro-life candidate didn't get in either, so. All right. What do we want to do yet today? I know I want to do that one because it's terrifying. And I want to do that one because it's terrifying. I'm going to save these just because there are a couple of them, so we want to go over those individually. But looks like the New York maps are going to be a big shakeup. So we'll save that. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow. Tell you what. Let's go up to these last two here, and then we'll do Twitter trending and head out of here for the day. But I found this one, and I thought that this was, well, very odd. From the Blaze, high school girls goes to pro-life rally with Christian boyfriend. Behind leftist mom's back, so mom complains to advice columnists who suggest extreme measures. From Dave Urbanski. A left-wing mother recently wrote an advice columnist for Slate, which is your first problem, bemoaning the horror of her 17-year-old daughter attending a pro-life rally with her Christian boyfriend behind the mom's back. Oh, who among us wouldn't have relished being a fly on the wall when the truth came out? Here's what the mom told Jamila Lemeau in regard to how she handled it. We've grounded her and taken away her phone for going behind our backs, but she's showing no remorse. I just can't believe it. This is the girl who dressed up as Ruth Bader Ginsburg for a Halloween when she was 10. That sounds a little bit like grooming to me. She's headed to law school in a couple years. I seriously thought that she was pro-choice and a feminist. We've been taking her to rallies and protests since she was a baby. Wow. We've been educating her about safe sex and consent. We donate to Planned Parenthood every year for Christmas. I'm fine with her disagreeing with us on other topics, but I had an abortion years ago. We live in a conservative state. I don't want her right to choose to be taken away. Lemeau threw gasoline in the smoldering flames, telling the mom that some politics are to be challenged at every turn, and there are even those who that should result in one being cut off, in adulthood, of course. Lemeau told the mom, if your daughter doesn't agree with you on abortion, cut her off. As far as tactics go, Lemeau told the mom to inundate her with pro-choice content, require her to read articles and books that explain why it's important for women to have control of their bodies. In addition, she suggested more frequent and pointed discussions with the daughter and suggest not letting her go to any conservative events or any environment where she's likely to face some attempts at indoctrination, especially without telling you. Back the fuck up. Don't let her go to any conservative events or any environment where she's likely to face some attempts at indoctrination. And inundate her with pro-choice content. Require her to read articles and books that explain why it's important for women to have control over their bodies. Can you see where the dichotomy is here? Well, don't let her go to evil conservative events where she might get indoctrinated, and make sure you indoctrinate her. I'm sending this to my mom, by the way. Lemeau also told the mom that she may want to limit the amount of time her daughter spends around his family, constantly challenging their politics without attacking them as people. What's more, she said, to resist any urge to just suck it up and allow your daughter to do her own thing politically. You're fighting for her character, her humanity, and her ability to extend empathy to others. You can't let this boy win. Good luck to you. Holy shit. Holy fuck. I didn't read these last two paragraphs when I read this last night. I'd read the first part. That's why I wanted to put this up at the end, but I'd not read these last two paragraphs. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm sending that article to mom. Alright, and the last one before we do Twitter trending for the day. I know, usually we'll go right up until 9:30, but I got to get out of here a little bit early today because I got to set up and make sure that I've got a good dinner. By the way, I share a foodie group with some of you, and be prepared to see my cream cheese chicken tacos in the group because I'll be setting them in the slow cooker before I go to work today. From Fox 11, fired Arby's manager admits to urinating at least twice in a milkshake mix. Police say, from Chris Williams. Out of Vancouver, Washington, an Arby's manager in Vancouver, Washington admitted to police that he urinated twice in the restaurant's milkshake mix, and now police want to get in touch with customers. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Police said their digital evidence cybercrime unit began an investigation into Stephen Sharp over possible possession and dealing dozens of photos and videos depicting sexual exploitation of children. At least one child exploitation imagery was downloaded to one account near Arby's at 221 Northeast 104th Avenue, Vancouver, Washington, police added. Authorities then got in contact with Sharp on May 10th and said Sharp confessed to downloading and distributing child porn and having sexual interest in children. He also told them that he was a night manager at the Arby's. A search warrant was then executed on Sharp's digital devices, and police found a video of Sharp urinating into a container that was a milkshake mix from Arby's. Police then said that Sharp confessed to detectives he urinated at least twice into the milkshake mix for sexual gratification. So in the dating pool, in today's fucked up world, occasionally you get weird questions from people. I was asked by a girl once if I was into any sort of kink, and I'm really not. I have one, but it's very tame. Like, most people wouldn't even consider it to be a kink. And part of the reason that I'm not into that kind of thing is because many of that extends to things like this, where a person gets off by the fact that other people are drinking his pee. This is a level of depravity that Dante and Randall and Clerks wouldn't even get to, and they load their customers. They loathe the customers in that entire movie, and they, I don't think, could even get to this level of depravity. How? According to the Colombian citing court records, Sharp told investigators that he didn't throw the bag away. It would have been added to another mix by the next shift and served to people. Officers are asking for any customers that purchased the milkshake from the Arby's at 221 Northeast 104th Avenue in Vancouver on October 30th and 31st, 2021 and have a receipt to please contact them. Sharp is now in the Clark County Jail and faces 4 counts of possession of depictions of a minor engaged in sexually explicit conduct, dealing depictions of a minor engaged in sexually explicit conduct, and assault. The alleged actions of the former franchised employee are abhorrent and unacceptable, an Arby's spokesperson said in a statement to Fox television stations. We have taken immediate action with the franchise group who terminated the former employee and is fully cooperating with the authorities in their investigation. So, yeah. There's that. I love how you guys are trying to guess, and I mean, most of you are still a little bit too extreme for what I am, but Randy's like way too extreme on the other end. But that's what we have off that. Let's check in with Twitter trending for the day. Thanks everybody, by the way, who came back after the power outage. I know we didn't get the entire audience back, but thanks everybody who came back and rejoined for part 2. Let's look into the Explore tab and see what's going on here before we head out of here for the day. Over on to trending. On Tuesday, we check in with the 5 top trends, excluding Tuesday Thoughts and Tuesday Vibes and Tuesday Motivations. We check in and see what is actually happening around our country as viewed by our social media overlords on Twitter. All right. Number 1 trending, And this is one that I actually cut from Contemporary just because we couldn't get around to it. Unidentified aerial phenomenon is the top trend. A House subcommittee has opened a hearing on unidentified aerial phenomenon observed by military pilots and others. A government report last year cataloged 143 reports of unexplained aerial phenomena dating to 2004. And all that I have to say about that is phenomena. So yes, there's a House panel that's going to be holding a highly anticipated public hearing on UFOs. Sorry. Unidentified aerial phenomena! Small Cat says, if I was at the C3 hearing on UFOs, I'd ask how big the alien dicks are. New President Sam Work says, I'm interested in this other bucket. There are currently 400 open reports on file. Right Side Broadcasting talking about, are they live right now? They are live right now. Talking about this. So this is actually going on right now. They're demons, yo. Sorry, Steven. All right. Entertainment. Alden, Vanity Fair's June 2020 cover issue prompts a discussion about actor Alden Ehrecht's character from the 2018 movie Solo, a Star Wars story. Let's see. Harrison Ford praised Alden Ehrenreich's performance as Han Solo. I'll take his opinion on the subject over anyone else's, including a studio exec who deflects blame on others. I actually didn't think that the kid this Alden kid did bad. Like, he had the facial expressions, he had the right body build for it. He 75% had the right attitude for it. I think he could have been a little bit more smug. I didn't think he did bad in the portrayal. I actually liked the Solo movie. There were parts about it that I didn't like, but, you know, given Disney throwing the extended universe away and trying to write a brand new story about this character, I don't think that they did a terrible job. Would I have preferred that they used extended universe content? Oh, hell yes. I would have very, very much preferred that they used EU content. But for the situation we're sitting at, I don't think it was bad. Like I say, my biggest problem with him is just that even as smug as he tried to be, he wasn't smug enough to be Solo. But again, the right facial expressions, the right kind of attitude about things. Scout says the current era of Star Wars. Pros, amazing shows on the horizon. We'll see. An overarching plot connecting many of them. And/or return of legacy actors. Cons. Once again, learning the wrong lessons from Solo, not bringing back Alden. Pretending BOBF never happened. I don't remember what BOBF was. Oh, Book of Boba Fett, that's what. Ken Jack says, I don't know if this is a hot take, but Alden was totally fine as Han. Glover also played Lando better than Billy D. Williams did. That I have questions about, because they didn't seem in tune with one another. All right. Number 4, which will be our number 3, is The Opportunity. New day, new opportunity. The first 3 words you see, use hashtag The Opportunity to enter. So it's a terrific Tuesday, an election day in many U.S. primaries, giving Dems the opportunity to go vote and turn America blue. Vote blue to protect all of our rights. Don't be like Trump to Biden, DT, ruin the world, and Biden won an elevated foreign policy, vaccines, and the economy. That's why we're in another war, because we elevated foreign policy. And Kyle says, when we hashtag the opportunity to put Trump back in the White House, we need to do it immediately. So that's what we see off of that. Daily Quirtle number 113. Arbolt, how many tries? People attempt to guess the 4 or 5-letter words at once in Quirtle, which is a take on the viral brain teaser Wordle. We've got T-Mac, got 7684. Versus Echo Chambers, got 6845. Lois Eibel, thrice vaxxed, got 7859. Nico R got 5869. Oh, this looks like it's a difficult one. Jason Good missed out, 97 fail 4. And Scott Dunn got 5637. Didn't see a lot of fails off of this one, so there's only the second one out of all of them we've seen. 758 fail. Alright, and the last one is hashtag election day, with mail-in ballots on the front one here. As we talked about Barnett's quick rise to the GOP, reeling over potential upset. Here's what it could mean for November. We are just going to go ahead and save this one for tomorrow. Especially if she wins, we'll talk a bit about what's going on. Oh, that's a live update. That's a live blogger. Never mind. Let's see. Kentucky is election day. Find your polling place here. Go vote for Rand if you're in Kentucky. It's election day. If you live in one of the states that have primary elections today, go vote, pass it on. Shawaski Young for Congress. Out blue! Wanna bet? Wanna bet? Wanna bet? Wanna... Mississippi 03. Only 2 black Americans have served Congress from Mississippi since Reconstruction. MS-03 has never had a black U.S. representative. Actually, I'm surprised this one doesn't have a big Act Blue link. Well, if you're a Democrat, go for this one then. Because he's not just funneling money into the corporate slush fund. We might save that so I can go comment that on his post afterwards. Rex Zane. Right now, the GOP is filling midterm election day ballots with candidates you wouldn't trust to take care of a cactus. Today's your chance to do something about it. And, of course, somebody had to throw the insult in there. To all Trump supporters, Biden is your president. Diaper Dawn lost. Wait, no, we're trying to take care of that. Oh, fucking Swalwell. My 4-year-old. Rep Swalwell. We'll do a bonus 6 trending here because I saw this up on the other side. Swalwell. My 4-year-old just FaceTimed to ask what I'm doing to help the people in Buffalo. And why did the bad man do this? Absolutely gutting. This cannot be normal. It's time to ban assault weapons. No, your 4-year-old didn't say that. But the Libertarian Party's 4-year-old might have said this. My 4-year-old just FaceTimed me to ask, why did U.S. politicians vote to give Ukraine $40 billion while we face record inflation and baby formula shortages? Absolute gutting. This cannot be normal. It's time to jail treasonous politicians like Rep Swalwell. Based. Blair White responding to Swalwell. My 4-year-old non-binary triple amputee transracial child just FaceTimed me to tell me that you're fucking annoying. Fuck you, Swalwell. Alright. That's it. That's all of ours. That's all the Twitter trending we're going to do today. Jesus, we took this all the way almost out to 9:30. Well, still got to get this into the slow cooker, so. It's a nice chilled day, too, outside. So the slow cooker isn't going to, like, just absolutely bury us in heat and humidity. I can actually have the windows open right now, which is epic. I like that. All right, I think we're done. Actually, I got to go find my outro music again because, you know, the power outage got it shut down. Where is it? There it is. All right, so thanks everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat for the first and the second time. Do apologize for the little bit of bump out in the power outage. That's kind of lame. It almost makes me nervous to turn the slow cooker on, but it's a manual switch. It's not a programmable one, so I can set it in and let it go and forget it. And if the power does go out, it'll kick back on once again. But yes, thank you everybody who came back, and thanks Quest for sharing out both the links for this, because otherwise I don't know if a lot of people would have known that we were coming back on for the second time. We'll be back here tomorrow with more contemporary, more news, more headlines, and a few of the ones that we figured out, and we will see who won in the Kentucky primaries and the Pennsylvania primaries as well, and the Mississippi primaries too, allegedly. So absolutely come back and join us for that. And we will see you next time for more Contemporary. And until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.